oh fuck, this thing's been, I've got this zoomed in by accident with my last video. Sorry folks, I just had to zoom that out. I just got a bit clumsy trying to turn off the camera, touching. Sometimes if you don't quite hit the record button to switch it off, you often end up accidentally zooming in, which is one of the issues I have with the Galaxy S8 Plus, is that it's easy. Sometimes you just end up not switching it off when you want to switch it off, and it ends up making, yeah, it's a bit of a nuisance. But I'll tell you, I prefer the Galaxy S8 Plus to a fucking what was then being offered, the iPhone 7. I don't like, or was it the iPhone 8? Fuck, they release all these new ones, but they don't have anything new technologically to make it better. So it's all about greed, it's all about money. That's just the bottom line for them, is the most important thing, and they're not even talented enough to think up new features and new things, and whatever features and stuff they create is just rubbish. Like removing the headphone jack initially on the iPhone 7 is a good example of stupidity and money fucking in the same breath. I got no respect. Of course, Samsung are not free off the chain either, because we all know in 2016 that we had battery gate. The batteries kept exploding on the Note 7. So that's my. So I'm glad that they learned something from that issue, but it caused a lot of people heartache and problems, and some people got burns and damage to property, and yet, you know, it's just not right. But that's what you get when, that's one of the consequences of the love of money, is that it risks the health and safety, not only of its staff but of its customers, in the case of Batterygate. So it's not good enough. So would have been good if it was prevented, but apparently they thought the iPhone 7 was a threat. Samsung thought, so they cut some corners, allegedly, when they created the phones, and the battery was the thing that caught the attention of pretty much everyone, was, yeah, the exploding or batteries rupturing into flame. Not a good look for Samsung, and certainly devastating for the people who had to put up with it, and having the inconvenience of having to return your phone. And in the phones, I think Greenpeace were alluding. There was an article from Greenpeace talking about where those phones are going to go, and they seem to think that it was to go into landfill. So there we have it. We've got more pollution from Samsung. So yeah, not a good look, Samsung. So I've got to take Samsung's success with this phone and take it with a grain of salt, because basically the battery gate was such a big issue. So I won't forget battery gate, and I mustn't forget it. Now this isn't looking too good. So we're now going to make this into a negative. This is not a very nice colour-wise original. We'll see if we can make it look any good. We're going to leave those there. Now we're going to punch up the K, which is black. So let's see what else. We can't use contrast with brightness, so let's see how we go making this into a negative. So we're going to try that again. I think we're going to make this a little bit smaller than 300. It's a bit too big, so we're just going to go and make it 250 that way, 250 this way. So let's see how we go. This is tricky, trying to get it to move properly. So let's see how it comes out as a negative. It's very wishy-washy. It looks interesting. I do think it needs a background colour. I think that's what I forgot to add to that, is a background colour. So we're just going to go here, and I just don't know why I didn't put a background colour in for this. It's probably going to be, what colour do we think will look good with this design? We're going with yellow and see how that goes. And maybe here, we've got to add some more darkness here. More background and heavier texty stuff. We'll see where we go with this. So yeah, this is from a coffee shop. This is a brand of Tanzania. There's a lot of good coffee. You wonder how fairly grown that a lot of coffee is, because there is some fair trade companies that make coffee, but unless it says so, you don't know if it is or not. Let's see how we go. Let's see if the yellow and the adjustments have made it look better. Yeah, it actually looks interesting. It's not going to be the greatest demo on earth, but I think we can probably run with these settings. So we're just gonna, I'm not gonna keep it, even though it's a coffee thing. I can't just collect pieces of paper all the time. So we're now gonna see what we can do with this, make it look better. Going to take it off that, and we're just going to go here, and we're going to go 104. So we're just going to enlarge it a little bit to take off the borders. Okay, so we're just going to put this on the glass like so. So let's see how we go. Let's see how it looks. Alright, now we're just going to do some more little tweaky bits here and there to make it look better, hopefully. We're going to switch that off, and we're going to switch off the background colour. And we're just going to set things up a little bit better than this. I don't know if it's any better. Just going to leave it like that and see how it goes. So let's see how it looks. Okay, let's see how this one's turned out. Right, that looks interesting. Yeah, it looks very interesting. It looks a lot better than what it was, so I'm wondering if we're going to run with this. It's not the greatest, but it'll probably look a lot better once we've assembled it as a mirror image. So we're just going to punch these off. Oh, did you hear that? Oh, that's the squeak of that. That was the scanner making a low-pitched or maybe a mid-range squeak. Sounds like a plasticky kind of squeak. So it's not a good, you know, going back to the talking about fucking Konica Minolta. It's like the machines, the attention these machines create is not good attention. It's quite horrible. I'll tell you, Konica Minolta don't come across as a fair trade manufacturer. No way. They like to pretend that they're doing the right thing for humanity and the environment, but fuck me dead. It's only just tinkering around the edges, I'm afraid. That's how it appears from what I can tell. So let's see how we go with this. There it goes again. So I suspect the quality control in the factory wasn't good. So this is what I say to Konica Minolta. Or maybe it looks better if I show it this way. Yeah, anyway, let's just see how this looks. Whoops. I just keep not picking them up properly. Anyway, let's see how this looks. So a lot of these countries, like Tanzania, they make lots of things like coffee. They're like, I think they're part of a thing called the coffee belt. Coffee sort of grows in a certain area around the world. I've seen this in Starbucks. It's sort of like diagrams showing how the coffee is made, how it's grown and all that. It's quite complicated looking drawing, but it's interesting. It's interesting to see where your coffee comes from. After all, we all drink it, even people who are homeless. If homeless people can get a little bit of a hand on enough money, they can buy themselves a nice cup of coffee. So coffee is an interesting beverage. It seems to transcend all classes, from the homeless all the way up to the mega rich. But we shouldn't put the homeless down from enjoying a coffee. There be people who are homeless have been denied basic human rights. So they should be allowed to drink coffee and enjoy a little luxury. And yet the rich people create these situations and they pat themselves on the back and think because they're earning money that they're successful. But they're failures because they fail to help the poor and clean up the planet. So to the rich, this is what I have to say.